They say, "This is how it's always been." But no one ever asks, why? Today, I'll tell you a story of a girl who questioned. Far up in the mountains, there was a small, quiet village. The people there were kind, honest, but they followed some old customs so old, no one remembered where they came from. Rituals so ancient, no one asked if they still made sense. Most of them were rules for girls. You can't touch that on some days. You shouldn't enter that space. You must not do this because it brings bad luck. And whenever someone asked why, the answer was always the same. Because it's tradition. That's how it has always been. But one girl was different. She listened. She watched. She followed. But she also wondered. One day, during a village festival, she saw the elders asking all girls to stay back from a certain ceremony. She was curious, so she asked her grandmother, "Why can't we join? What will happen if we do?" Her grandmother replied, "It brings misfortune, my child." One year, a girl stepped in, and later that week, her uncle fell sick. That's why we stopped it. The girl nodded, but she thought quietly. Her uncle was old. Anyone can get sick. Was it really because of the ceremony? That night, while everyone was asleep, she quietly stepped into the space. Nothing happened. The next morning, the sky was clear. The crops were fine. The animals were calm. But when the villagers found out, there was panic. This is why the wind was strong last night. That's why the dog barked more than usual. She has brought imbalance. Everyone had a reason. Everyone had a fear. But the girl stood in front of them all and asked, calmly, "But last week, the wind was louder, and the dog barked then too. Was that also someone's fault?" One old woman shouted, "Child, these things are not to be questioned. This is how it has always been." The girl said nothing. She turned, looked toward the edge of the village, and without a word began walking. Just behind the gathering, not far from where the shrine stood, lay the village's most sacred field. It was said to belong to the wealthiest elder on the mountain, a patch of land no girl had ever touched. Some believed it was reserved only for men or the chosen few. Others said if a girl stepped in, it would ruin the purity of the first harvest, the one offered to the deity of the festival. But she stepped forward anyway. She picked a single stalk of the golden crop, walked to the old shrine beneath the tree, and placed it gently on the stone. Then she turned to the gathering crowd and said softly, "If this offering angers the divine, let something happen. Let nature protest. Let the earth reject it." The sky stayed silent. The wind moved gently through the leaves. Nothing broke. Nothing turned dark. And she smiled. She looked at the crowd again and said, "If fear is truth, then truth should have shown up by now." This time, nobody spoke. The same people who shouted now looked at each other. Some looked down, Some frowned, some just stayed still. From that day, not everyone agreed with her. Some were angry, some stayed quiet, but a few started thinking, and maybe that was the beginning. Beliefs built on fear collapse when someone dares to ask why. True traditions don't fear questions, only blind ones do.